Hello and thank you for joining us on the last edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I am Benga Oreshegun. Today on the program. Airlines pushed to the brink of bankruptcy as aviation fuel prices soar. Inspector General submits 75-page state police framework to the Senate, proposes mode of operation, key safeguards for legislative consideration. And later on the show, Minister says APC convention to host 8,453 delegates. Well, I'll be hanging out with Adewale, Adewi, and Charles Fidel. Journalist Hangout starts right now. Now, it is said that every day may be for the thief, but one day is for the owner. That reality played out in Anambra State, where the state governor, Professor Charles Soludo, ordered the suspension of absentee workers at the state secretariat. Governor Soludo gave the suspension during a surprise visit to the secretariat in Awka, where he conducted an on-the-spot assessment of the punctuality of staff. The governor noted that members of the staff who were absent from work at 10 in the morning should be suspended without pay. Charles, gentlemen, what message is Governor Soludo sending with his action?
Well, I think he must have got wind of the fact that people were just like that's kind about coming to work and all that. So that's why he paid that unscheduled visit. It also reminds me when I was growing up in those days, a very small boy back in Bender State, when the military administration of Bender, first Midwest and later Bender, I understand was also doing that. We just, move, even sometimes in the early hours of the morning, they will give contract to governor, and before you do, it's always there. So it's something that is applaudable. But the Anambra example, for me, I have mixed feelings about it. I do not know how long will Soludo do this, going to the Secretariat. But I know the government of Anambra State has done a lot, modernizing the Secretariat and all that, ensuring that the workplace is conducive for all of them and all that. But it's a normal practice for civil servants to come to work. Apart from...
Well, when you say it's a normal...
It's normal because...
not to come to work.
It's normal.
But they are paid salaries.
Well, they are paid. But have you not heard of when you go to places, fines are... Do you know how many times even myself, our brand, we sent letters so that they will say letter, you have to resend and resend. Because if you have proper documentation, if you are actually working, some of this will not be missing. Which is why I am advocating the digitization of civil service work. Before we came on, I was just telling you about a certain brand that did something within 20 minutes. There was no human interface. Yes. I paid whatever I want to pay online, uploaded the document before you know it, what I wanted was given to me. So that's exactly how civil service ought to work. But because of, as you said, political consideration, most of this ministry will not be digitized because of job loss and all that. And then if there's going to be a scorecard of the governor, what is going to be telling people that we didn't get, or did he's going to decide that he showed people out of the civil service instead of giving them jobs. So what Soludo should do is that I think what he said, I'm going to be quoting Walker, I'm going to be saying what he said, that his administration is prioritizing 3 key pillars of reform, which of course I'm advocating: the deployment of technology, and then the transitioning towards digital workflows to enhance speed and transparency. So Anambra actually needs to transition from the manual, from the hard copy, from the what you call what you have now to digital. So people should not be afraid of losing jobs. So you think biometric
and digital monitoring?
Because if they are there, you don't have to be there to now say, okay, all these people we found at their desk, what were they doing? What were they doing?
But 10 o'clock in the morning, this is unbelievable. But they've been suspended. Okay? Do you think disciplinary action, alone fix this culture that's been there for decades?
First of all, I think human resource is the most vital engine of growth and development. Civil servants are expected to be the pivotal drive for policy implementation, for institutional building, and for ensuring economic socio-cultural safety of the people. So it's a very critical segment of, of democracy and development. However, we notice that civil service has become something like a ritual where people just think it's just to earn a salary.
That's it.
And I think most of them don't actually know how critical their roles are tied to overall development of the state. And over the years, people just go into the civil service just because they want a career, not for service delivery. And I think the civil service, remember what happened in Osun State, that the then governor, B.C. Akoni, had to retrench so many of them. Because you just discover that many of them are redundant, doing nothing. In fact, if you do an auditing of the civil service, you may discover that some are actually staying abroad and earning salaries.
Earning salaries.
So it's a very corrupt institution. And governments are always afraid to tinker with that corruption for political reasons. Because they feel that, if you do anything, then people will, they will not, it is going to affect your electoral fortunes. In Ekiti State, I think Governor Fayemi tried to sanitize the civil service, and he paid for it. He was trying to look at the, biometrics. He introduced biometrics into the civil service, and they discovered a lot of fraud. People coming to earn their salaries, but they were not happy that somebody has come to.
So I think the issue of absenteeism, the issue of coming to work late. You're supposed to resume 8 o'clock.
You see, the
2 hours. You're still not on your
the
desk?
spontaneous action of the governor, will not help to discover, the attitude of the workers, to their work. For instance, if you get there by 10 and some people are not there, you may not know, maybe some are there, they're on sick leave, maybe some are in the hospital, maybe some are in their farms not working. I mean, working privately and not doing what they're supposed to do. Maybe some are also working elsewhere. Or some just loitering around, selling somewhere, on the street. So there must be an institutional means to discover why people are not reporting to work, and those that are not attending to their duties. Who are those people, and how can the government build a kind of system that will discover this failure every day? By going there as an individual, that doesn't help the issue. You need a mechanism that will, if somebody does not come to work, that the system will discover. By just going there as a person, it's spontaneous. People will act normally in the first 2-3 months. Nothing will happen after that. There are 21 local governments in Anambra State. The governor cannot monitor all the workers. And I think the civil service in Anambra State should not be less than 10,000 workers. So there's no way you can. And some of them are not actually in Oka. They are in other areas.
Far-flung areas.
The federal civil service workers in Anambra should be about 3,000 plus. So the governor's action is not enough to serve as a deterrent. There must be a system that will automatically make people to be responsible, make people to be. And it also means a lot of training. It means a lot of capacity building, that workers themselves must realize that, if they are not coming to work, it's a disservice, to the communities that they are serving.
Let me attempt a solution. I think it's in most corporate bodies or organizations, what they do in order to. So Soludo, as you say, can't be going everywhere. Okay, if he goes there in the morning, they're not there. How about afternoon? Most of them are gone by 3 o'clock. I'm not talking about Anambra. I'm just talking. That's generic. Okay. By 3 o'clock, they've left their desk. So what Anambra government should do is to go for this clock in. There's this. It's also part of digitalization. So when not this manual signing in, but a lot of people lie. When do you know those who are coming around? They will sign 8:30.
I don't.
There's no way to tell me whether they.
So that's about biometric systems.
So biometric, when you come there, you clock in. And then your biometric is taken that Chassis the whole has resumed. When you are going on break, you clock out.
Sure.
So it stops the man hours.
Yes.
Then when you come back in, you clock in. So at the end of the month, all these are collated to know exactly the many man hours you have worked, if they work with man hours. And then all these things will now be channeled towards how you'll be remunerated. But when people still come to work, you just go over there, the side book is there. You take your pen, you are coming 11, you sign that.
I write for five people. 5 names.
And also sign for
5 people. So it's not going to work. So that's what.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I wish them well. All right, straight to our next conversation.